All right, guys. So, what we have to see today is how we can work in strings, right? So, in our last session, we did see what is a string. We see a bit of formatting on the string, but today we are going to explore various different built-in functions on the strings, or you can say the built-in methods or functions with which we can very easily solve the problems. So let us write a new Python file. So this goes like session number 4. So the topic which we have to bring is a built-ins on strings. So what exactly I mean to say is, let's say a name called John Watson. Now when I say this name, so this name is in some case, right? So J in uppercase, W in uppercase. You want to convert this name to uppercase directly. All right, so I can say name dot upper. So what is this guy upper, right? So it's a built-in function. So when I say dot and then I use this upper, so a dot is to execute some built-in function of string. And what is this guy upper? So upper will change the string to uppercase. But let us see a magic here, right? So I'm just gonna come up and put up a magical thing here. So I'll say print me name. The moment I say print me name and run my program here, so what you see is name is not manipulated or modified to the uppercase. We used this built-in function called upper so that the name can be manipulated to the uppercase, but this didn't happen. So why is it so, right? Let us explore that part. Strings are immutable. What is this now? This means if we perform any manipulation, that is modification on string, it will not come up. Rather, a new string will be generated, right? So strings are immutable. They cannot be changed. That is how you understand the term, right? You cannot change them. So when I say name dot upper, it will not convert it to uppercase. Rather, what you need to do is you need to say a new name, which is name dot upper. Now this way, if I'll print this new name, so this will be modified, a version of the older string, right? So guys, manipulation operation on string will generate a new string in the memory. So this is what string immutability means to us. Very, very important concept here. So consider I want, let's say there is a quote, and this quote goes like work hard and get luckier, right? Now if I need to come up and say this quote to be going on capitalization, so what is meant by this capitalization? So let us see. So there will be a new quote which will be generated, and this name can be any name of your choice, right? So it's not something you have to write new quote. It can be let's say my quote, right? It can be any name of your choice. Now if you will say print me the quote, and thereafter I will say print me my quote. So let us even add this extra part here and run this program. So capitalization, if you can see, right? So it just made the string to start from the capital part, capital alphabet, right? So it means that we have some of these functions, built-in functions, with the help of which we can manipulate the string. But if you manipulate a string, you get a new string the older string will remain the way it was. Let us take some names, and these names they go like John, Jenny, Jim, Jack, and Joe. Now I'll say index is names dot index, and I want to find the index of this guy called H. Now in my string there is H over here, so I want to come up and see the index of this fellow. So I will say print me the index. So what do you think? What is the value here, guys? What do you think? What value should be printed here? So when you run the code, exactly. So this is going to be 2, right? So strings like lists, they are indexed. So you got this guy 0, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. At the same time, I can even say index is names dot index, and I want to see the index of Jenny. So now I'll say index is comma index. So guys, what do you think now? What should come up? So what should come up now? What do you think? All right. So let's run this code, and what you see is 6. Now when I say Jenny, so it begins from here, this index here, right? So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth is the space, and 6 is this index, right? So from where Jenny's J will begin, right? From where Jenny's J will begin. So that will be the index of the string. It's simple again to understand. So coming here, I'm going to say new names is names dot replace the old character J with a new character, let's say K. So you print down the names. So names comma names, and I'll also print down this new names. So what you see, names were not manipulated. So we were unable to change names because string is immutable, but we did get a new list, I mean a new string where the alphabet J was replaced with K. Okay, so we have a query from a C. So if there are 2H in the names, then it will show the index of first H. Exactly. So Asim, for that you need to write a logical part. So in case you want to find the index of the another H, you need to find the logical, you need to come up with the logical approach, right? So that way also we'll see how it can come up.
Oh, Ishan,
Yes,
the above example where we find the Jenny name and it start from index 6. If I remember the last class, when we need to place some specific string, we give the range like 0 to 5 or 6 to 11. But
yes,
here, just a 6 index, that is not just clear because when we want something, means we need to give the range. And when we getting
yes.
input, output, we are just getting one number.
Now, what is happening over here, Saurabh? When you say Jenny, right? So, what is meant by the index in a string? This is a string, right? This is all characters now. So, when you say Jenny, Jenny is a substring. It's there in the string itself, and from where this J will begin, that becomes the index of Jenny for us. So, basically, when I say index of Jenny, this means where this J begins. Now, in the last discussion, what we were doing, we were not uh, calculating the index. So we were putting up the indexes automatically. All right. So we are putting up the indexes automatically. So for that, it will yield me the result, a substring. So if I'll say, let's say my name is names, and I'll now say 6 colon 11, right? So this is substring. So how you get a string from a string, whereas this is how you get an index of a string. The difference now, right? So what we are doing is we are extracting a substring from a string, and here what you are doing, so here we are extracting index. So that's the difference. Let's say you're writing a program where you don't know what is the index of the string which you want to extract, but you know the initial or you know something here and there, so you can get the indexes. So once you find the indexes, then you can use them in this slicing, right? So this is slicing part here, different from the indexing approach. Sort of, was this your query?
Yeah, that was my query. But let's suppose I don't want the starting index in my program because I don't want to go to the manual. If I get the 6, then I manually need to see that the Jenny covers till 11. I want
Yes.
it from the program to fetch that. Is
So
it possible?
in case we want our program should dynamically do it, that is the reason you got this guy called index. Now, something you have to know, right? Where the J comes or where other things will come. So those things we need to come up and find, right? So other way around, I can put up a loop and extract the index of whatever I want. So even that will do. With the looping part, we can extract everything what we want. So coming
That
here,
is not inbuilt. That is not inbuilt feature.
yes,
We need to use other
yes,
program,
you
the
have to
small
code
program.
yourself. You have to code yourself. That is the problem,
Yeah.
right? So index is just going to give me the index of some specific character in a string from the beginning, or some string in a string. That is just index function which it will give us. In case for any dynamic thing or logical part, we need to write a loop. We need to find where is that character, what is its index, and then we need to do this slicing to get the data.
Uh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Now, let us say I want to find the occurrence of some string, right? So, having said I got this John, Jenny, Jim, Jack, I'll again say John and Joe. So, this is what I have in my names, right? I got John twice here. Now, I'll say a number which is going to be names dot count. So, what I want to count, I want to count this guy called John. From where? From 0 till where? Till the length of my names. So from 0 till the last index, how many times John has occurred in the string? Not their indexes, right? So I'll say print John occurred these many times, dot format the number. So I'm explicitly using this string formatting technique so that you can recall what we did in the previous session. So John occurred 2 times. So this is how you can use the count function. So it's not just with respect to this guy called John. Let's say you want to find the occurrences of this alphabet J. So instead of saying John, I can even say J, right? So let's say J occurred these many times. 6 times we got J. So you can count the occurrences of some string, or you can say characters by the count function. Now what I'll do next is I'll split my string to find or to get the words. Let's say this is the quote, work hard and get luckier. So this is the quote, work hard, get luckier. I will say words is quote dot split on the basis of a space. So I have just put a space and I wanted this data to be splitted off, right? And now I'll say print me words. So let's see what words will come up. So it gives me a list of words, if you can see. So if there is some data, you want to just get the words from a sentence, you can say a dot split on the basis of a space. Now at the same time, I got these names: John, Jenny, Jim, Jack, Joe, right? And I want some individual names. I can say names dot split on the basis of comma. So there is another pattern, right? So in between you specify the pattern, that on the basis of what kind of split you want the data. So now I can say further print me individual names. So now when you run the program, so you find you get these individual names coming up for us. But at the same time, you get an extra space coming up here. Why extra space? Because when you said split, so on the base of comma you split it. So this is one split, this is the next split, so on and so forth. So guys, acknowledgements awaited. Split function. Anyone with query?
Ishan, can you please repeat the split function with a space and a comma different?
When I say space, right? So you see this space here in the quote. So based on the space, it's gonna split, and it's gonna create these 5 words: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it's gonna generate a list for it. So when I say words, and then when I'm printing these words, it's a list, right, over here, if you see. Now when I say comma,
One character we can introduce here under the split function, or we can use comma and a space both.
no, you can use any pattern. So if you say comma and space, so wherever comma and space will come, that will be considered, right? So when I say comma and
Okay.
space together, right? So what you see is comma and space helps me to eliminate the space itself here.
Got it.
Good catch, right? So here, when I say split, you pass any pattern here. If that pattern is there in the string, it will split. For example, I will say split on the basis of and. So what you will get? You will get work hard, get luckier. So you say space and space, so it's gonna give you work hard, get luckier in this pattern. So I think this is now clear. So see, wonderful.
Yes,
So
Ishan, yeah.
split is one of the important functions, right? We can of course use this split when we have a lot of data, and specifically when we are reading some Excel files where the data will be available as some rows and columns. So you can use split and you can extract the data. Okay, now let us say that there is a salutation which is coming as Mr., and there is a first name, F name, which is George, and I want a last name. Let's say last name is Watson. Now I wanna concatenate these strings. So what is the full name? The full name is salutation plus F name plus L name. So with the plus, I'm going to concatenate the strings. So what is concatenation? You are going to merge these strings. Now in case I will say print me full name, so this is going to give us Mr. George Watson. But you see there is no space here when it comes to Mr. George Watson. So you can even introduce a space by yourself like this. Now when we try to run the program, so you get to see the spaces. So this is known as string concatenation. So you can append the strings, multiple strings here and there, you want to merge them and create one single string, you can do that. So there can be an email which goes like john@example.com, and if you want to check whether this ends in a .com, so you can say if email dot ends with a .com, right? So this way I can say print email ends with .com, and in the else case I can say print email does not ends with .com. So run the code. So here we are. Let us say there is a file name which is some hello.mp3. So there is a file name. You want to check whether it's an audio file or not. So you can simply come up and say file name dot ends with a .mp3. Right? So if this is so ends with will give me true or false, right? So that's why I'm using it with if. So an audio file. So we can play this audio file by putting up a small check whether it's an mp3 file or not. Then other way around, it's not an audio file. So what we have here is how you can use different functions of a string, right? So guys, uh, the way you have ends with, in a similar way we have something known as starts with. Okay, there is a number which is written as 20. Now this is written as a string. So typically if you have to write a number, you will always say it as 20, right? But when I say number as 20, so this is a string, whereas the above one was integer. Now string gives you whether your number is a digit or not. So I can simply say if number dot is a digit, right? So I can say print it's a digit. In the else case, I can say print it's not a digit. Now when I run this program, it says it's not a digit, right? But if you say 20 in double quotes, this is still a string. So even if you say 20 in double quotes, it is still a string. And now when you run this program, your string function can very well tell you whether this is a digit in the string or not. So guys, can I get a smiley here? So 20 is a digit in the string. That's how it says true or false. Now this way you may have a huge requirement when you are dealing with operations on your IP addresses or any of your logical operations here and there in networking. Now there can be the way you got is digit. In a similar way we have this is numeric, is decimal, is alphanumeric, is only alphabet, is lowercase, is a space, is a title case, is an uppercase. So these are so many functions now, right? So a lot of functions are there. So we have so many other is functions which we can use on strings. So guys, what you need to do is you need to explore all these built-in functions. You can refer Python documentation link which I have shared in my earlier sessions. So coming here, I can say Python documentation. So you have this documentation. Go to the tutorial, and here in the tutorial you can get to see strings in action, right? So here we are with the strings. So here you can get a detailed version on how we can work, right? Maybe more, maybe less, but of course you have this documentation to explore, guys, right? Okay, anyone with queries now?
Sure, this outcome of whenever we are getting an outcome, sometimes it's the list or sometimes not. Is there any specific funda behind it?
Yes. So when I say this function, for example, is digit, right? So you see, you just need to do a control and just take it as a link, right? Now what you see is this is digit is going to give us a bool. If you see this angular one angular arrow coming here which says bool, it means when this is digit will be executed, it will give me a boolean. Now let's come and see this fellow split. So what split returns is a list of strings, if you see over there now, right? Same way what count returns. So you can go here, even you can just if it is not available, you can even click, so it returns an integer. You can even click on this and you get to see that there is this guy count and what it will do. So you have a complete documentation, and this is the file called builtins.py. It's already built in. So control see what it returns, and when you click on this, it will take you to its definition, that what exactly is this guy and what it will do and how it will do, even the logical part. So good to go?
Yep.
All right. Now, once we know what are the built-in functions in strings, right? So let us try to explore a couple of more things here. So I'll write another Python program. So once again, let us take the quote from our previous session. Work hard, get luckier. Now I'll say data is list of quote. So what we did, so we did a conversion here. So converting string into list. So what will be the output when I print the data? Let's see. So when you run the code, you find each and every alphabet is now the part of list. So when I say list and then I say quote, it is going to convert the string into the list of alphabets, right? So what this conversion is all about, list of alphabets. And guys, you can even say your data is tuple of quote. So the difference I hope will be clear to everyone. So the above, when you say list of quote, so here you can append, but here you cannot do append, update, delete, right? So tuple means a read-only structure. So once again, you will get the same output, but here you are going to come up and see immutability in action, whereas a list is mutable. Now, let's say you wanna come up and print this quote. You can say *2. So any guesses what it's gonna do for us? Anyone who can recall what was replication? Yes, so this is repetition or replication. So we will get to see that the list is repeated twice. It's printed and repeated twice. So if you wanna just reverse a string, so you can use the slicing technique. You can say colon colon -1. So this syntactical approach will simply reverse the string, right? So this is reverse of a string. Let us say you don't want to come up and do a reverse of a string by the built-in things, so you want to write your own code. Now there can be various different functions which we can use and solve some specific problems. But for customized problems, we need to iterate, we need to use for loop. With the for loop, we can come up with some customized solutions. So how you'll do it? So I can say for I in range 0 to the length of quote. And what I can do? And I can simply just say print me quote of let's say I. So I want to print in the same line. So I'll just say end assign with the space. So it will print in the same line now when you use this end. So work hard and get luckier. So I'm using a loop to print the string character by character. Now how many A characters, or how many I as a character has occurred. So if you want to find how you will do it, so I can say sum is 0. So in case if your quote of I is equal to this character called A, I can simply say sum assigned sum plus 1. And after coming out here, I can say A count is comma sum. Or you can just take this as a count, which is a bit more better terminology. So you increase this guy count by 1, right? So when you run the code, so it says A count is 2. So A appeared only twice, right? So work hard in the hard and in the and. So let us say, how about this guy called, let's say, R. So I'll just do an empty print for a new line. So now you see R count is 3. So end assign space is what? So I want to print in the same line, not in the new line. So if I'll not use this end over here and run the code, so it's gonna give me every single character in a new line. So if you want to print in the same line, so you say end assign space. So why space? So that I can give some space. If you don't want to give a space, you can just say nothing. It will give nothing. And if you put something like hyphen, it will give a hyphen. So guys, now can you write a program to reverse a string with the for loop? Can you think of some logic how you can reverse a string? Excuse me.
Just a reverse loop. Start at the length of quote and go total 0 and decrement by 1.
Right. So let us try this. So I'll say for I in range, you begin from length of quote. But guys, what will be the length of quote? Length of quote, let us say, is 10, right? So you need to say minus 1 because you want to come up and start from R, right? So length of the string will be index plus 1. You need to understand the point here. So I'll say for I in range, length of quote minus 1. So I want to decrement by 1 and I want to go till 0. So you got this condition coming here, right? So I want to go till less than minus 1, which is 0, by a decrement of minus 1. So now I'll say print me quote of I, and let's say end as a small space. So here also I'll just give an empty print to see whether our program worked or not, right? So you see, this is how you can simply write up a loop and do the reverse. So if there is a function for which you are unable to process a string, you can iterate in a loop and you can do it with effective. So guys, are we good to go?
Ishan, what is last minus 1 doing here?
Okay. So when I say length of quote, let me print this length of quote, right? So I'll say print me length of quote. So when I say print me length of quote, so this gives me 25, right? So this is 25. So from where you want to begin? You want to begin from 24. You want to start from 24. And you wanna go till where? You wanna go till 0. 0 is what? That is less than minus 1. So that's why we specified minus 1. And minus 1 is a step to decrement. To decrement by minus 1. So 24, 23, 22, 21, so on and so forth up to 0. So up to 0 is this condition. So good to go, Asim?
So if even if we don't put last minus 1, will not it work?
No, it, so
According.
see, by default this is +1. If you don't put, this is +1. So
Okay.
here you need to put a -1, right? So if you don't specify, this is by default +1. If you don't specify, so 0 to length of quote, rather than 0 to length of quote, it's gonna be length of quote to 0. But you have to say -1 here and -1 there. Now clear, Asim?
And it's not even-
And Ishan, can we use colon -1, something we use to print the string in the reverse direction?
Exactly,
Colon
exactly,
-1.
exactly. So this is where I just came up and explored one part. Let us
Okay.
assume for any of the operations which you are going to do, and there is nothing like built-in thing in Python. So how you will tackle? So you need to put up a loop and process it. That's the only reason why we did this small program. So other way around, yes, we can reverse it in this manner. All right. Anyone else with a query, guys?
And Ishak, if we put that in last -2, then it skip the one
Yes, yes,
alphabet.
exactly. So if you put -2 here, so this way it's gonna come up in this manner, right? It's gonna skip by 2. Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So let's come here and write down our new Python file. Let's say session 4b. Now I'm going to introduce what is a set in Python, right? So guys, there is a list. Let's say A is a list. So it's something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. So there is duplicacy, right? So we have duplicate data here. Now I am going to write another fellow called X, in which I will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 and 3 again. Let us print A, and also the type of A, and now I'll say print me X, and with the X we'll say print me type of X. So when you run this program, so what you see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. The duplicacy is there. So we do have this duplicate data, and it is coming up here for us. The class is list, the type is list. When it comes to the set, we don't have any duplicate data. If you observe, so no duplicate data. And output, or you can say elements, may be unordered due to a technique called hashing. So in order to ensure that data is unique, right, in the set, by default there is an algorithm called hashing which is implemented. So you need not to deep dive into what exactly how the hashing will happen, but you just need to understand, for the set, when you are executing these codes, right, data will be always unique, duplicate data will be eliminated. At the same time, it is not 100% that this data will be ordered, right? It may get unordered. So 5 can come before 3 or 2, something like that. Now I can even say there is a B which is a set of A. So what we are doing here, so we are trying to convert list into set. But why we will do so? What is the reason that you will do? So reason, so that we can have uniqueness. So we can have unique elements, that is remove duplicates. So if you want to remove duplicates, it's very easy, that you just convert your list into the set. So now if I'll say print me B and the type of B, so B is a set created from a list A. So guys, clear to everyone? So how you can reach up to the uniqueness?
I have a query.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, please.
So yeah, so in the list A, how does it become the list, and in the X, how does it become the set? I
So
mean, not
yes,
duplicacy.
yes. So here, Arvind, you see this syntactical approach,
Okay.
bracket and brace. So this means list and set,
Okay. 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 Got it.
right? So this we covered in the very beginning part, right? The different these multi-value
Yeah.
containers. So this is how you create a set. Now I'm going to write this guy called P, which is let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say a Q, which is this fellow 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you have data now, right? So a data in sets. I can say data in sets.
Yeah.
Now I'll say that there is R, which is P, let's say, or Q. So this is one, line. You can find it on your keyboard. So we call it a union operation. So this is known as union operation on sets. So what do you think? What will be the value of R, guys? So what exactly the union will do?
Common, common thing is 4.
Okay, so let's run this code. So union is going to come up and you can say merge the data of both the sets. So when I say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 and 4 is already there. So you get a new set with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So union is merging the data, right? So it's what we learned in our childhood days with the Venn diagrams, right? So okay, so I think this is clear now, right? So merge data in both sets. Now, guys, this is a real-time requirement, right? So you have data in two different lists. You want to come up with a uniqueness. You convert them into the corresponding sets. You want to combine them. You do a union operation. Let's say you want to find an intersection. So I can say P and Q. So this is an intersection operation. So let us now try to say print of S. So in the intersection operation, what you see is the common elements between two sets, they will be printed, right? So here you get common elements and unique, right? So one of the queries were raised before earlier. I think either Lalit or Vinay. I think this query is resolved. The similar query was being.
Yes, yes,
All
yes.
right, Lalit. All right, great, great. I can even try to say T as P minus Q. So this is what this is a kind of, you can say, a difference operation on sets. So let us now print this fellow called T. Run the code. So what you see is 1 and 2. So guys, the difference operation. So this was my set P 1, 2, 3, 4, and this was the another set 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I say P minus Q, the common elements will be subtracted from the P, right? And the remaining P will come back. So is this part clear, guys? This is quite important to understand when I say P minus Q. So all elements from P minus Q. The common elements from the Q will be removed. And if you will do it in the other way, which is your Q minus P. So this way, Q is 3, 4, 5, 6. Minus P, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this 3 and 4 will be removed. So the remaining output will come as 5 and 6. So I hope these basic set operations are now known to everyone. Basic set operations, guys, clear to everyone, right? Wonderful. So anyone with queries can always raise it Now I'll write one more Python file, session number 4C. Yes, please.
If we want that in the last program, we want that the both common parameter like 1, 2, and 5, 6 as output. Then we again after that set two state operation you performed. After that, we need to go for a loop. Get the
What
null.
exactly you want, Saurabh? So your voice is exactly not audible here properly. What do you want
Yeah,
here?
I
Yes.
want that common. I want that means the MP the unique character and the Q unique characters. I can get it in my final list.
So you want
Like in P,
you want
1 to
this
5.
1, 2, and 5, 6, right?
Yes,
So
as the output.
you already got this 1, 2 here. So in this
Yep.
you got 1, 2, and in this what you got is 5 and 6, right? So you got T and U.
Yep.
You can further append them in a set, or you can just append them in a list, right? So or what I can do is I can say T dot add this U. Let's see if if it works for us. So we might have this built-in part. No, this way it won't work on set. So I think we need to come up and do an addition on this part, right? So what I can do is I can just create, so sorry for your query here. So I'll just create elements, which is a list. So I can say for, let's say element in T, elements dot append the element, and then one more loop goes like for element in U, elements dot append the element, and finally whenever I'll come back and say print me the list called elements, so you find 1, 2, 5, and 6, all the unique things which you have got. Good to go.
Yep. Thank you.
Now this is where we got our own logical hand, right? So guys, we are here not using any built-in technique. So you can use some logical part and you can come up and solve these statements, right? So you may have the built-ins, you may not have the built-ins to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to this session 4C. So we'll explore some more of the set operations. Let's see what are they. So there is a set called S1. Now I say this is 1, 2, 3, and I got A and B. Now this is a heterogeneous storage container, right? Multi-value container, but heterogeneous. So S2 contains 1 and let's say A and B. So these are the two sets. Now I can say print 1 in S1. So this will yield either true or false, right? So it says true. So in operation can be used to capture whether the element is there in the set or not. Now I can say print me S2 dot is subset of S1. So guys, will this give me true or false? Is S2 subset of S1? Exactly right. So when you run the code, it's gonna give us true, right? So the other way around, I can say print S1 dot is superset of S2. So this is the other way around, right? So you want to check whether a part of set is there in the set or not. So you got this is subset and is superset. Now I'm going to come here and say print me S1 is comma S1. So I'll just print out the S1. And now I will say print me S1 dot union S2. So it means it's not that we have this operator to do the union operation. We have a built-in function as well to do the union operation. But what happens when we do union operation? So I'll not print, I'll just say this S1 dot union S2. And now I'll say print me S1 now is comma S1, and S2 now is comma S2. So I think S1 is not required to print it. So I got this built-in function, right? So built-in function union rather than this operator, right? So this is now your choice whether you want to use operator or you want to use this function union. Both of them, they will work in the same way. Now when I said S1 dot union S2, what you find is there is no change in S1 or no change in S2, because whenever you perform a manipulation operation, you will always get a new set. Now let us come here and say S3 is S3. So you run the code. So here you see a union operation coming into the action. So guys.
So that means set is also immutable.
Yes. No. When you perform a union operation, right?
Okay.
So when you perform a union operation. So guys, the way you got union operation, in a similar way, you can say S1 dot difference S2. You can say S1 dot intersection S2. And there are more methods. Now, for example, there is one more operation called S1 dot symmetric difference with S2, right? So you can just explore what are these operations, right? So explore them. So explore what is symmetric difference. In case you want to take help from Google, you can take that part. So set operations. Yes, please, Asim.
Ishan, in union operation, in while printing the S3 output, shouldn't we get 1, 2, 3 AB, 1 BA? Because
yes.
In the previous cases, with
I told, right, Asim, in the sets there is a technique called hashing.
Okay.
So when hashing comes into action, right? So there is nothing like indexing in sets. Now you need to understand one more point, guys. So I'll just mention it here. Please see. No indexing is happening in sets. So I cannot try to come up and say print me S1 of 0. So if you try to say S1 of 0, right, and run this program here, so it gives you an error. So set does not support indexing. Rather, set supports hashing. So this statement is an error. So set supports hashing, and we cannot get a single element from set. Now this is a limitation, right? Because we don't know what is the hash code for the elements in the set. So what we do? So we need to use enhanced for loop to read the elements in set. How you do it? For element in S1, print out the element. So always remember a point here. This is quite important for us to understand. Okay, so these operations till here I hope are clear to everyone. So I'm going to.
And if we put and in this with a comma, they are going to print in the same line instead
yes,
of 1 by 1.
let's see that as well. So I'll say put an end and just say some space, or if you don't want a space, you wanna put something like this equal to. So it's gonna be separated with equal to in the same line. If you give a space, it's in the same line like this. Good to go. So guys, set is going to have some more operations. Let us see how. So there is a set which you have already created. Let's say S, and for this set S we have some data. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say A and some B. Now you want to add data in set. So set is not immutable. You can add data in set. So I'll say S dot add something like C. And now I'll print down this S, right? So we can add data in sets. It is not something which is not allowed, right? So we can add data in set. So when you add the data in set, so we need to understand one more point here. If you add a duplicate element, it will not be added. So for example, you say S dot add number 2. So when you run this program, so you see 2 is not added twice. It is still coming as 1. So adding the data in the set is easy. And if you want to remove the data from set, this is more easy. So why? Because you just need to say s dot remove. So what do you want to remove? Let's say 2. Or you want to come up and remove this guy called A. So let's print s again. S now is comma s. So you run this code. So here we are with the removal of 2 and A. You can even say s dot clear. So this removes all. And also works with list. So guys, you can use this clear with list as well. Okay. So it's not that it's gonna work with set. It will also work with a list. And coming here, s after clear is, so you run this program here. So what you see is set is empty. It says it's a set, but it's an empty set. Some more operations: add, remove, and clear. So anyone with queries here?
Ishan, we call this add operation as appending strings, alright? Strings or lists.
Yes, in the lists. In the lists. So what will happen if I try to add a set in a set? Let's also try to see this point. So there is a I'll just copy these sets. So there is S1, there is S2, and there is S3. So I'll say S3 is a set, right? It's an empty set. So I'll say S3 dot add, and what I'm going to add is S1. So let us try to say S3 is comma S3. So when you run the code, so guys, so my bad, just give me a moment. Okay, so this is taken as one empty dictionary here. I'll just put some, okay. So here we are guys, right? So this add on the sets will not be adding some other set into the set. So when we were working on the lists, so lists will add up the list, but set will not add up the sets, right? So there's already a set. So add will not add up the sets, and it adds only the data. So that is one more point which you should be noticing here. All right, so till here, I hope we are clear. So now I think we can take a small break. So let us just quickly review before we take a break. So we started with the strings where we understood built-in functions. So here we understood that strings are immutable. They cannot be changed. Any manipulation operation will result a new string. Then we understood that you can convert your string into a list. You can convert into a tuple. You can now even convert your string into a set. So if you convert the string into a set, what will happen, right? So only the unique alphabets will come up, right? So no duplicate alphabets will come up, right? So if you want, you can skip those duplicate alphabets in a string by just converting into the set. Then in session 4b, we started with the sets. We understood that sets, they come with some operations. We can perform union, intersection, difference, and thereafter we check for is subset, is superset, membership testing. We can even use repetition. We can print S1 multiply by 2. It will print the set twice. Then there is built-in function as well, difference, intersection, union. You can use either operators or these built-in functions. Choice is yours. Then lastly, you want to add the element into the set. We got add. You want to remove it. You got remove. And thereafter we got clear to remove all the elements from the set, right? So this is what we have done till here. Now anyone with query before we go to the break, guys? Or a smiley if we are all good to go till here? All right, guys.